that was promised was not showing up, and just there was a governance issue there. And so we had been walking through it, and you keep thinking, but then when it was going to happen, it happened like really fast. British Telecom were our technical advisors, and they pulled out one weekend. They snuck to the airport, and everybody left, and then they called me from the UK and said, we're gone. And so it started kind of falling apart, and the management, and it was very emotional for me, and I kind of went through this period of writing letters and dealing with the board and just all kinds of issues. But at the end, I calmed down and I said, okay, April, May. So April and May, I was just dealing with the fallout of that, and can I get my documents? Kind of not a very pleasant separation. And can I get access to my files? What do I need to turn back to you? That kind of stuff. And, but, financial issues to be sorted out. But, at some point you just kind of realize effort in futility, you need to move on. And that's what I did. And I just thought, okay, looking at all this, what do I do? Go back to the US? Or is there opportunity to do something here? And I thought there was this opportunity with the internet. I had seen that there was this opportunity with the internet. We had tried to address it at NITEL, but obviously we didn't succeed. And so I said, okay, if you could do it there, why can't you figure out how else you can achieve that same objective? And that's kind of how Main One came about. So I said, I'm just going to take some time off and network and talk to people and see if this was something feasible. And if it's not feasible, then after a few months, I'll decide what next to do. It also helped that Mr. Adeola called and said, look, I got you into this mess. I will help you think of what you want to do and come back and tell me what we should do. And so I dug into the Rolodex, and I just kind of went back, and I held a lot of meetings, spoke with a lot of people, traveled, met some of industry contacts that I had worked with in trying to privatize NITEL, from Cisco, from British Telecom in the UK. I went to the US, met some of my old Verizon colleagues. They introduced me to Tyco Electronics, who ultimately built our cable. And I was just exploring. I had never been to an African Development Bank conference. I went for an African Development Bank conference in Shanghai, and I, met some people who I knew from college and listened to some of the sessions that validated the need to provide better international connectivity to Africa. And so I came back after all those travels, and to be honest, I sat in my living room and started writing the business plan. And so that was how I dealt with that failure. But it was a very difficult moment, having come back, not having an income. I had a child who was in middle school, looking at higher education and the cost of it. Well, I need something so I can pay to get my kid through university, So those were the realities. But what I find is, what that storehouse that you have, the networks, the community you've built, the faith that you have, the family that you're able to call upon, day to day, just kind of pushing on towards that goal. That's really what has worked for me, and that's how I dealt with that situation, and that's how In One was born. So first, it was sitting in my living room writing that business plan. Then I recall when I did the initial work, one of my former staff members at MTN, who we had a personal relationship with in finance, helped me put a pro forma spreadsheet business plan together, and then once we put it together and it kind of looked like, okay, this can make sense, then I called a consultant also that I had met in MTN, who was a friend, and I said, JJ, this is what I'm thinking. I need to do a feasibility study. Can you do it? We haggled and said, yes, we'll do it for this price. Then I said, okay, let's go do the feasibility study. And I just kept, and every affirmative or positive response I got to what I was doing kind of led me on to take the next step. And that's how, so it didn't happen over, and I wasn't sure until I started getting positive responses. And I had the advisors, so Mr. Adeola and Mr. Igodalo. I said, you'll serve as an informal advisory board. Let me see if I can make this thing work. And I would go. So in some sense, people talk about accountability partners. So I would go do a little bit of work, come back to them, and they would kind of give me feedback or critique it. And then I would go, maybe I'd go to events or financial events and things and talk to bankers, and people will respond or show interest to say, come back and talk to us. And say, okay, yeah, people are saying I should come back, so I'm going to go. I'm going to keep going. And that's what I did. And I just decided, I kept setting milestones. Okay, if by September, so when that happened in April, if by September I don't see any positive signs, then I'll just go back and get a job in the US. And then, you extend it to January, and then by early the next year, we got a one-room office, and we started going from there.
Thank you very much. Can we once again put our hands together for her? That was such an eye-opening speech. We want to take photographs with you, please. So we'd like to ask that the EDs and the MDs of FSDH Bank please join her on stage for photographs. Can we please put our hands together for them as they come on stage? And I'm hoping that we're already inspired and our minds are open to see the possibilities that lie ahead. There are, of course, more questions that I'm sure some of us have, and we're hoping that we can address these questions when we take our panel sessions. So I just give them a few minutes for the photographs to be taken. And for those of us in the audience, it's okay to make photos and videos of them, post on social media as well. So those on social media, please remember, make videos, post, tag at FSDH Bank and at FSDH AM. Please hold on, we have one more of our Ogas joining us. Make videos, make photos, post. Remember the hashtag FSDHWIBI and and Women on the Rise. Those are the two hashtags. And we would like to, still staying there, please, we want someone else to join you. Can we please welcome Daniel Russell, who's the commercial attaché for the U.S. Embassy? David. All right, David Russell, thank you very much. And Ngozi B. Nkwo to please join for the photographs as well. Thank you very much. Do you want a bit of balance? DJ, you'd have been giving us one nice background music to just set the mood for the next conversation. Thank you very much. Can we please once again put our hands together for our keynote speaker, Funke Opeke, CEO, Main One. Now it's time for us to head into our first panel session. Who's excited? Are we cold, ladies? Are we cold? Can we all please stand up? Can we all please stand up? Can we all please stand up? We need to warm up the room. We need to warm up the room. I remember, can we all please stand up? Can we put our hands together once? Just once? Now 2 times. 3 times. 4 times. 5 times for the women in this room. 6 times for the women online. 7 times for our invited guests. Who again are we clapping for? 8 times for the men in our midst. 9 times for those who will be networking and changing their lives from here. And last but certainly not the least, a round of applause for FSDH Women in Business Initiative. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please be seated. So we need that energy as we're going into the first panel session for today. We're going to be having very important conversations, of course, looking at winning together. Women winning together is our theme, the rise of women-empowered communities. I'm going to welcome some very powerful women to join me on stage, and I'll just quickly read their profiles before I welcome them. Thank you. Now, the first person I'm welcoming on stage is a professional accountant with over 10 years of experience spanning across accounting, audit, financial management, and taxation. She is the founder CEO of Money Africa, an edtech platform that enhances financial literacy and investments leveraging on technology with a community of over 200,000 people. She's a Washington Mandela Fellow and a LinkedIn Top Voice Finance and Economy 2020. She was a finalist for the Future Awards in 2019 and was selected as one of the top 100 women by the Leading Ladies Africa. She was one of the top 8 traders by CNBC Africa in 2012 and a member of the Golden Key International Honor Society. She has spoken at TEDx, featured on BBC, UK, Al Jazeera, CNN, Guardian, and I have also interviewed her on TV. Ladies and gentlemen, if your hands are not too busy, can you please put them together as I welcome on stage Tosin Olasende, the founder of Money Africa. So we're talking about savings and investments. This is the woman you should be talking to. For those of us who have been saving, you've not been saving or hitting your December target, maybe she would help you. They call it Dirty December in Nigeria. Now, the next panelist I'd like to welcome to join her on stage is the co-founder and CEO of Shuttlers, a transport and tech company startup currently revolutionizing the way professionals and organizations commute in metropolitan cities like Lagos. In 2021, Shuttlers announced a $1.6 million seed round to scale its operations in other cities across Africa. She holds a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from the University of Lagos. She's a part of the Harimbian team for 2018 cohort, an alliance for highly educated young African social, business, and political entrepreneurs, attending leading universities in Asia, Europe, and North America. In 2019, she was named in Forbes Africa's 30 under 30 list technology category. How many of us wanted to be on that list? But then we passed the age. But life happened. Can we please put our hands together as we welcome Damilola Olokeshusi, who is the CEO and the co-founder of Shuttlers. Thank you very much. Please join us on stage. See, I told you that very influential women are here. Now, the next person I'm about to welcome is a firebrand woman. She is a transformational catalyst, equipping a new breed of African visionaries to rise and enthrone the continent into global prominence. Through her work of coaching, counseling, and capacity building, she has done a lot of influence around the continent. She's the founder of Immerse Coaching Company, a personal transformation coaching experience. She's executive director at Ideation Hub Africa, a public policy and impact advisory firm. She's also the president of Kingdom Women Global Alliance and Firebrand Movement, both faith-based organizations. You see when I said she's a firebrand woman. Please put your hands together as I welcome the founder, CEO, Immerse Coaching, Debola Dejikurumi, popularly referred to as DDK. And finally, to join them on the panel, is a lawyer. Okay, I was about to introduce myself. I'll just go sit down on stage. Because that would look awkward now to read my own profile, wouldn't it? Thank you. Please put your hands together for Oliver Modi as she takes her seat. Can we have more microphones, please? One for the other table. Thank you. So, part of what we're looking to do is to tell stories and establish a framework for how technology has impacted their work and their careers, and how they've been able to leverage network and communities. So we're going to set a background upon which we will then build a foundation, or we'll build our stories today. And I'll start with Debola Dejikurumi. For the purpose of this panel session, I'm going to be referring to you as DDK. The work that you have done is remarkable. What you have done with Immerse Coaching, you have over 50,000 catalysts. is now 65,000. Wow. 65,000 plus change makers in about 99 countries around the world. It has even increased, all right? And then we have also over 80 courses that you've done. So much impact has been made on your part. You also have subsidiaries. Your company, Immerse Coaching, has subsidiaries for men. It's like you're doing many things. And you know what they say? Jack of all trades, master of none. But she is the jack of all trades that has mastered all of them. Can you maybe share with us some of the methods, you know, the skills that you've had to employ and how technology has helped you achieve this monumental impact that you've achieved with your career?
Thank you, Olive, and thank you to FSDH for the opportunity. Delighted to be here sharing with everyone as well as the panelists. I think that the background to be laid with any kind of impact is a strong sense of mission. When we started Immerse Coaching Company 8 years ago, the mission was clear, and it was really just about the power of mind re-engineering, that if people can change how they think, they can change how they live, and if they can change how they live, they can change how they create impact in the world. So I believe that what has really impacted on our ability to deliver transformation the way we've done is really around that strong sense of mission and a big why. But to your question, let me highlight very quickly top 5 pillars that have impacted our work the most. The first is data-driven transformational tools. And what that looks like is the reason we've got this 65,000 plus members in our community who have been with us 8 years plus, continuing to access our resources, coaching, and enjoying the community, is really because with every single cycle that happens in a quarter, we will take insights that they show us about what kind of growth they're looking for, what kind of goal achievement they're seeking, and what answers they require for the different areas of their lives. We will spool this data they offer us and use it to craft a roadmap for how to move them from where they are to where they can get next. So imagine 8 years of spooling data. It's become very evidence-based, data-driven, and it works. Technology has offered us scale. Obviously, you've got members in 112 countries. I don't have to be in each of these countries to be able to connect directly with these people. So we've got powerful learning technology tools that have really helped us, you know, grow the numbers, connect directly, and build the community. The third is crowdsourcing support. Currently we have a network of almost 300 support coaches and mentors trained, certified by Immerse, who then deliver this transformational content to our members. So being able to ourselves even leverage the power of a smaller, powerful community of support coaches and mentors allows us to almost, in that franchise type model, a mini franchise type model, spread out the work and, you know, decentralize it in a way that is effective. The fourth thing is we take a strong innovation-driven approach to our entrepreneurial pursuits. So we're thinking about the markets, we're thinking about the demography, we're thinking about what the people are saying they want, we're thinking about the trends and the mega trends, especially on the African continent, and how learning engagement is being deconstructed, and how digital learning is becoming a powerful next level for accessing insight and growing skills. I know I'm saying a lot because I just want to put it out there, but it's so important to continue to use trends and shifts you see to shape what you discern to be where the future is going as an entrepreneur and innovate along those lines. And then the final thing for us is we continue to hire along the lines of purpose. Every single person who works within our business, whether they are within the year-long accelerator or in the Immerse business or the men's subsidiary, are people who don't only want a job they can earn from, but they're people who see their own purpose being accomplished as they serve with us. So our people are gold and they're first-class minds, and it's really made a big impact.
So it's an alignment of purposes.
Exactly.
All right, great. Thank you very much for sharing that. Let's move over to you, Tosin, and talk about the journey. There was the Tosin, the 20-year-old Tosin that was working with a South African firm and in big money, but 4 years later you became broke, living hand to mouth. And seated on this panel is a different Tosin, the CEO of Money Africa, with a community of over 200,000 people. You're teaching people about money, investment. Take us through the journey of the Tosin from before and the Tosin now. And how would you say technology impacted that journey?
Okay, great. Thank you so much, and I'm very excited to be here. I started my first job at the age of 20. This was in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I earned a decent income. After 4 years, I moved back to Nigeria. I had nothing to show for it. I went back to my parents' house. I remember I was in church, and my mom had squeezed 500 naira into my hands. I couldn't even give my own offering, and I told myself I never wanted to be here again. So I had to start navigating it. I worked at TNPC, Bloomberg, British American Tobacco, managing $20 million. And over that period, I taught myself about money. I came on Instagram one day, wore red lipstick, did 1-minute videos. Mutual fund is this is that, and it blew up in my face. In the space of 6 months, we had over 20,000 followers, and it was so crazy. There was a time for 1 week I wasn't feeling too well, so I did not go there. I came back to over 500 messages, and that was a wake-up call that, hey, you are actually leading a community. People want you here. So the thing was this: people are already on those platforms, already enjoying themselves. They wanted something simple, something they can navigate, something that was relatable. So whenever experienced finance people usually tell those stories, they speak as though they're speaking to their colleagues. So bringing it home, simple terms, was something they could connect with, right? And that was how Money Africa started. So then it was a one person in my apartment. Now we have a team of over 20 across both companies, and we're here. So now how does technology come in? I remember we used to rent like a hall that would take like 25 people and to take those courses. And then people in Abuja, people in Ibadan, in different places would be like, oh, I want to be there, but I'm not there. And that's where we plugged in EdTech, where we're able to, leverage on technology to put the courses there, and people can actually just, take the courses at their own leisure. Also leverage on the power of community, speak to other people about it. And in as much as yes, we're making revenue, we're growing this company, we're building the team, I think just also looking at the impact on my own self, able to see it in a different light and see the power of financial literacy just reminds me why we're doing this. And we want to even go for more. Our vision is to go after 10 million financially independent Africans.
Ooh, wow. Audacious. I love it. Now, I must mention before I go to you, Damilola, that we'll be taking questions from the audience as well as our online community. So if you have questions, please start to drop them in the chat box. Someone will collect the questions and then send them across to me. Damilola, whilst reading about your story, I had seen somewhere where you said sometime before 2015 that you had a conversation with someone who gave you 1,000 reasons toddlers will not work. And one of the reasons they gave you was because you're female. Another reason they gave you was because this is Nigeria and not Silicon Valley. But despite all the reasons they gave you, you moved defining transportation, especially for professionals. What is your why? And how did you get here? Tell us, lead us through that journey and share with us what is your why.
Okay. So I think it was a series of things, and I'm trying to make it very, very short. So I think first is my background. I grew up in Ibadan, that was Kama, and I moved to Lagos for my chemical engineering degree. So I could spot that there was a problem, just by just coming to Lagos and seeing the chaos. If you live here, you would not realize that there's chaos. But if you go out and come in, you see that it's not normal, right? That's number one. I knew that there was a problem, right? Just coming to Lagos. Number two was my background. I was really good with maths and chemistry. A recipe for chemical engineering. The plan was to go and get a job in an oil and gas company. So I was good with maths and engineering. So I inclined to technology, right? Number three was in 2009 was a very pivotal year. I think a lot of things about technology came into Nigeria. There was a lot of programs or initiatives. I was 19 then. I was in my third year in university, and there was a long strike, like what happened this year, where we didn't have any plan of going back to school. And in that period, I had two options. I was supposed to go to Aptech to learn how to code. I couldn't afford it. Second option was to go for a leadership training. That leadership training was like a crash MBA. I was not meant to be in that class. I was the youngest. People that were already working, people that had done masters. So I had access to information that I should naturally not have access to. And the fourth experience was when I interned in an oil and gas company, and I used the staff bus, right? So I saw that in the same Lagos where there's chaos, some people were enjoying, other, because their companies, could afford to provide staff bus for them. I think what broke the camel's back was my first time outside the country. It was a 5 days vacation sponsored by my sisters and my parents to go to Dubai. And I was shocked to see that the things that I saw in the movies were real. You know, I was seeing underground trains, you know, coming from the underground, coming to the surface. I was like, what? So you mean these things are real? And I came to Nigeria and I was like, no. I cannot go back to using Danfo. So if I was comfortable, if my parents had money to buy a vehicle for me, then I probably wouldn't have started Shortland. Shortland is such a difficult, you know, startup. I would have just, you know, be comfortable, right? So I was uncomfortable. I didn't want to go back to using what I used to use. I wanted to use something that I could use myself. And one of my sisters was a victim of One Chance. I'm sure everybody knows, almost everybody knows what
How many of us know what One Chance is? Okay, how many of us don't know what One Chance is? Okay, so I'll explain very quickly before you go ahead. One Chance is an unfortunate incident that happens where you enter into a vehicle, they're telling you there's one more person to go, and then you enter thinking you are actually a passenger, but every other person in that car is actually a fraudster trying to defraud you of money or assault you physically. And I know that a lot of us, how many of us have even experienced it? Okay, thankfully not a lot of hands, but yeah, that's One Chance. Please go ahead.
So all of that just made me realize that, no, I cannot. So first I realized that if I wouldn't create that solution, nobody was coming to rescue me. Because if our leaders were already going to these countries...
What a beautiful story. This is a literal case of when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Or I like to make this very traditional by saying when life hands you pepper, you make pepper soup. Let's talk to you, DDK, again. And we've talked about the background. You've given a background story to how all your journeys have begun and the role that technology has played. But one very key reason we're gathered here today is networking. Very important. Please, if you leave here without meeting someone, you have actually failed the essence of being here. So talking about networking and communities, you're very passionate about women. You're surrounded by women. You have female-focused organizations. You also have the Future Forward Female Folio, where you celebrate visionary women of African descent. Talk to us about the importance of communities as women. And I ask this because there are women who would tell you that, no, I don't like working with other people. I like to work on my own. Some of them have unfortunately had negative experiences previously. And as a result, they've distanced themselves from other women. And I've heard people say, you know, I prefer working with men. I don't like working with women. So you have worked with women. Talk to us about how female communities enhance or enable growth.
That's such a great question, Olive. And thank you to the panelists. I'm learning a lot. How communities enhance growth. I think that I would love to lay a background, first of all. Visionary women are set apart from everyday women. And without a definitive